just like all the raw materials, the corn, the wheat is more at the store, but they've gotten it so imploded at the grassroots level of the economy that they've got a shortage of it. Just like when they have a shortage of gold, its price doesn't go up. This is not a free market. This is a controlled system, and they're coming in with the animal ID, the premises ID, shutting down the farms, controlling them. With carbon taxes in New Zealand and Australia, their headlines are just shutting down their farms because there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxes just on a few sheep. I mean, this is total feudalism, total control by design. I promised we're going to have Lindsey on for an hour and a half, but we got the time zones messed up. We're going to have him back up soon. We're going to come back with him for the rest of the hour. I've canceled the state rep. We'll have him back on about the Second Amendment. This is too important with Lindsey Williams, and I promise to take a few calls. So specifically for Lindsey Williams, 1-800-259-9231.
How fast can it happen? I do not want to frighten you. And I'm sure Alex doesn't want to frighten you either. He just tells you the truth like it is. This is how fast it can happen. 2 weeks ago, the Latvian government collapsed. Now, the first government to collapse was Iceland. You remember that about 3 to 4 months ago.
Yes.
It was havoc in that country shortly afterwards.
And it's still havoc.
Yeah, and this is it. Oh, yeah, they won't be anything but bankrupt from now on. Then the second country to declare bankruptcy, Latvian government, 2 weeks ago. Now, I want you to see just how fast things can happen. And, folks, this is just how fast it will happen in the United States of America. I beg of you, understand it can take place within a matter of hours. Here it is. Latvian government collapsed. Here, government is cutting spending wherever it can. Hospitals, schools throughout the country are on threat of closure. In 2 weeks, as local administrations find their budgets reduced to as much as 40%, government salaries have been cut 25%. 2 weeks. Do you know how fast this can happen in America? Meanwhile, the country's export-driven economy, which burned red hot at the height of everything going so well, has ground to a halt. Unemployment has rocketed in Latvia. Those who have managed to hold on to their jobs are receiving significantly less pay.
And they're predicting that every Eastern European country is going to basically completely collapse, a domino effect into Asia, the Middle East, the United States. And then meanwhile, Fox News is blaming it on Russia and saying the Russians want us to collapse in these weird spin articles when Russia has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and construction, real estate, farming has ground to a halt. Now, folks, this is just how fast it can happen in the United States of America. Don't think that we're alarmists. We aren't. We're realists. And we're trying our best to tell you. I was told 7 months ago that this was going to happen. They had it planned in advance. He said America will see a financial collapse that will be so great it will take years to come out of it. Don't think it's going to come out in 24 hours. Our president is not going to bring it out in 6 months to a year. This is going to be a long-term thing that you must make preparations for right now. Already, OPEC has lost, in 4 months' time, oil-producing countries of the world have lost $2.5 trillion in 4 months' time. They cannot buy our Treasury bills. Now, here's the next. This is the thing that is startling so much. Whenever you consider that Macy's, their profits down 59%, Target's down 41%, JCPenney down 41%, the Office Depot lost $1.5 billion in the last quarter. Now, think of all the taxes that would have gone to the federal government and the state governments if these stores had still been doing 100% of business. Think 75% of the taxes that come in at the gas pump on a gallon of gasoline are no longer going to the federal government and state governments. The thing I am so drastically concerned about at this point is every state in America, whenever they figure up their books, which usually takes 2 to 3 months for them to catch up with where their bookkeeping is, they are going to realize that they have lost 60 to 70 to 75%, depending on the product in the store, of their tax structure. They're not going to be able to support the schools. I mean, don't go out there and riot and say, oh, we ought to have more for our children. Well, the tax structure's not there.
They want you to play into that. That's why they're hyping the thing to do is riots. They have provocateur groups on record, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation funding it. So when everything implodes, they're going to put us into forced labor camps officially built. I'm holding up the Army list of 24 mass camps. This will hold tens of millions of Americans. This is not a game. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't say no to this, and if you don't realize who the enemy is, it's all over. Go ahead, CIA, FBI, police, play along. You're going to ruin your future, too. It's time to gut up and decide who you're with and who you stand with.
And someone said to me the other day, they said, Pastor Williams, these people live in America. They said, you know who they are? I said, yes, I know many of them. They said, do they live in the United States of America? I said, most of them do. They said, well, do they want to destroy their own country? I said, no, they're not destroying their own country. They have everything in the world to gain by this. They are going to hold the banks of America. They're going to own the lending institutions of America. They're going to own the mom and pop businesses. Go to the shopping centers and see how many stores are vacant now. Look what's happening to the banking system. They're going to own the real estate of America. You realize that every mortgaged house was mortgaged. You got your mortgage from some lending institution which now belongs to the elite by way of the Federal Reserve through the Treasury of the United States of America, bailing them out. And they are going to own the majority of the real estate of America. They have everything to gain by what they're doing. David Walker, former Comptroller General of the United States of America, said it so well. Now, he held the currency for a while until he retired. He said America's unfunded liability is $66 trillion. That includes the national debt, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. $66 trillion is more than the GDP, the gross domestic product, of the entire world. The whole world's GDP is only $65 trillion, and America's unfunded liability is $66 trillion, and America has more debt than all the rest of the world combined. America must attract 17% of the world's capital in any given day just to service the debt, the interest on the national debt. Alex, there is no way out. I mean, they have it all set so that when it's all over with and the smoke is cleared, if they have their way, they will control us. But, Alex, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because of programs like yours. And there's one thing that I found that these people fear. When I lived with them for those 3 years, they are scared to death of the masses of people in America waking up. It's the only thing that bothers them. Everything else is secondary, and the American people are waking up. I am amazed at what I'm hearing lately as to how many are taking action.
And by the way, Lindsey, I want to hear more about that. We are putting on screen the civilian inmate labor camp program I keep talking about the forced labor camps, about Americans, how they're already open, how they already put federal and state prisoners in them to get the military ready and trained to do this. They kept it secret for 11 years while they first set it up. They've had people secretly for 11 years on these, and now they're just announcing it all, throwing it in everyone's face, and Glenn Beck's making jokes about it like we can trust him, saying he'll look into it, and then giggling and snickering. I mean, they're being forced to talk about this because everybody's starting to wake up to them.
Yes, they are, exactly. Now, Alex, would you let me say just a brief word about the two presentations I've just presented?
Absolutely. In fact, let's do that, but then I want to, because I've got you to the end of the show. I canceled the other guest, Lindsey. You can stay another 15 minutes, right?
Okay, yeah, I'd be more than happy. Consider it a privilege.
Okay, well, I want folks to have time to get a pad and paper, and we'll do that at the end of the show because it's so important that they get this information and spread it to everybody because you want them to copy it. But before we do that, again, you're saying that you believe this can at least be blunted and stopped. If people decide the government's going to save them, they're going to win and get the whole thing away. I mean, they're going to get away with it. What do we do to stop them in your mind, in your research? What are they most afraid of? How do we defeat this?
The one thing that will defeat them more than anything else is for the information to be given out, just like you're doing. Just blast it all across America, every place possible. Put it on the Internet. You say you're doing another program at night. Congratulations. God bless you, Alex. I appreciate it so much. Get the message out to the American people. Now, people are hurting. Remember one thing. The most sensitive part of anybody's anatomy is the rear pocket. And right now, people are hurting where the dollar is. And they will wake up when before they wouldn't even listen to you. They're beginning to listen now. The stock market's down 6,000 and some odd. And they're hurting to the point that for the first time they'll at least consider us wackos and give us some thought as to the fact that we might be right. And when you can document what you're saying, listen to Alex Jones' show every single day so you can document what you're saying. Be able to prove every point that you give. Then you'll have no problem. Things like OPEC just lost $2.5 trillion in 4 months' time. Things such as the tax structure of the United States of America is in jeopardy. And wait 30 days from now, and when the states finally figure up their books and realize where they are, you have never seen such cuts yet. Listen, give these things that you're hearing on Alex Jones' show. And, you know, things are happening so fast, Alex. I'm glad that you punctuated a moment ago how quickly they're happening, because people must listen to your show every day.